Hey guys, what's going on? It is Broken Nose Vlogs here. I know it's been about a week since I've made anything on either channel. It's mainly because of work, but it's also been me trying to figure out if there's any way for me to save that MSI laptop that I had. And frankly, I don't think there is at this point. The computer will hit 97 Celsius just on startup. It throttles itself, and I've repasted it I don't know how many times now. The thermal pads look fine. I'm at a loss. I don't know what the problem is. The cooling fan, granted there's only one, is clean and free of debris, so I don't know what's going on at this point with that computer. Granted, though, when I did buy it, because it is 4 or 5 years old now, it was a little bit behind the pack, which is probably why it was so inexpensive. It had a Core i5-10500H, so 10th gen, when I know 11th gen had been out, and I believe 12th was about to release. And it had a GTX 1654 gigabyte GPU inside of it, so nothing too spectacular. It got the job done, and obviously I kind of use it as a backup, but I had made content on it before, and I had made mention that I want to, move some of my equipment into another area, and I have chosen an extra room inside of the house. It is not very pretty in here, but you guys hopefully will never see it. But it is much cooler in this room just because of the way this house is set up, so I don't have to worry too much about anything overheating or anything like that. So on the hotter days, I'll probably be inside of here. But yeah, I was a little frustrated. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little frustrated that I treated my laptop so well and it just went kaput on me. From what I've been told, those MSI laptops actually have a fairly poor hinge design, and usually the hinge will go on it before anything else does. That wasn't the case. It was the CPU this time, so I was a little let down. But I did find a replacement. It is a little bit more up to date compared to what I had beforehand. I ended up tracking down an HP Victus laptop. It's 16 inches. It's still a 1080p display, but it is a 144 hertz display, and it has a better processor inside of it. It has an AMD Ryzen 7640HS. I know the AMD mobile naming protocol for their CPUs are rather confusing. I'll just throw the stats up here. It's not a bad laptop. Overall, so far, I've been pretty content with it. There are some drawbacks to the computer, namely two things that I'm not a big fan of. One, it only has 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's two 8 gigabyte chips, so it's at least dual channel. But it's DDR5 5600 megahertz memory. I don't have a lot of familiarity with DDR5. This is actually my first DDR5 system, and I don't know if I should even bother trying to get like 32 gigabytes of RAM for it or not. So the MSI at least had 32 gigabytes of RAM because I had upgraded it, but this we're back to 16 gigabytes, which it's unfortunate, but that's still better than the single stick of 8 gigabyte memory that the MSI first came with. The other issue I have is with storage. So it comes with a 512 gigabyte M.2 NVMe drive, and it does not have room for a 2.5 inch SSD like the MSI did. And I've done a lot of research on this, but without actually cracking open the computer, which I really don't want to do right now because I barely have had it, I can't tell if there's a second M.2 slot. Some HP manuals say this particular model does, some HP manuals say it does not. So I'm a little let down about that. There's not a whole lot of, expandability for storage other than getting a new M.2, but this is PCI Express 4.0 versus the 3.0, which the MSI had. So what I did was I took the 1 terabyte M.2 NVMe that I had, and I put that in an enclosure. And I also took the 2.5 inch 1 terabyte SSD, and I put that in an enclosure. So there are a couple of, there's quite a few actually, now that I look at it, USB ports that are being taken up. As a matter of fact, I believe I'm taking up all the USB ports. I am using 3 for peripherals, 1 for the mic, 1 for the cooling fan, the Red Dragon Wind Seeker, and then the other 2 are for my solid state drives. So all of the USB ports are spoken for. I do wish that it had more, but 4's generally, I think, pretty normal on like budget to mid-range computers. Now, I know I stated that all of the USB ports are essentially full on the computer at this point, which means I don't have room for a webcam. When I used my MSI laptop and I was using a webcam, I was not using the built-in one. I was actually plugging in a Logitech, I think it was a C920 or C920S, but that was the webcam that I would use for the recording. I can't... Well, I mean, I theoretically could plug in. I could take the laptop cooler out. I decided to give the built-in webcam a chance on this laptop. It's not horrible. It is capable of putting out a 1080p picture at 30 frames per second, which is better than what was on the MSI laptop, which I believe was 720p at 30 frames per second, and it was not great looking. I'm not saying this is perfect, but I wouldn't have a problem using this webcam, especially if I'm playing games, because it's just going to be off in the corner over here, small and things like that. So I wouldn't be too upset about using this webcam. It's not too bad. And then the other thing that's really cool about this one is it has a little flap, or not a flap, but you can slide it closed essentially, and it will disappear. You will still hear my voice, and you will still see a background. But I thought that was pretty cool. So, like, there's a little privacy shutter on this thing. But, I was really hesitant. I was like, oh, man, or laptop webcams are not great. And I'm not saying this one's spectacular. I'm pretty sure the Logitech that I would plug in would probably be better. I also think it's still better than what I had previously. And I don't think it's bad enough to where I really need to worry about it, because like I said, if it's just in the corner over here, I wouldn't be, it's not going to be big, so I'm not really worried about it. But yeah, that's the one difference on this laptop versus the MSI is I am willing to use the built-in webcam versus plugging in a camera and using it instead. Also, now that I think about it, my other laptop, the MSI, had 2 GPUs. It had the built-in GPU that was on the 10500H, and then it had the GTX 1650. It's a very similar situation with this particular laptop. There's a built-in GPU on the Ryzen, and then it has RTX 3050, which I'll go over. Interestingly enough, so I'm playing around with this still. The iGPUs on these Ryzen series, I believe this is a Phoenix series, which I think is newer than the Vermeer series. I may be wrong, but I've been told that the iGPUs on some of these Ryzen chips aren't too bad, and this one will encode in AV1, which is kind of cool. Like, yeah, I could use NVENC, but I have a 6GB 3050, so it's already going to be kind of taxed out playing games and then also using NVIDIA Broadcast for the background. So I thought, well, if that's the case, I could maybe offload the encoding onto the iGPU, because it's not going to be used during gameplay. That's going to be saddled on the 3050. Maybe I can get the iGPU on the Ryzen to handle encoding. Will it be better than NVENC? No, but I feel like if I'm able to spread the burden, or kind of like mitigate some of the tasks to other parts of the computer, where the iGPU's theoretically not going to be doing anything when I'm playing games because I'm going to be using the 3050, I might as well use it for encoding. So that's also going to be like a little experiment that I'm going to try out when I do start doing game videos on this laptop. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, you know, there's a few things I do like about this computer. The other really neat thing I like about this is it has a number pad. I have forgotten how much I miss number pads on keyboards because on my regular desktop, I do not have a dedicated number pad. I have a 10 keyless, and if I do want to bring out my number pad for certain games like Star Wars: The Old Republic, I actually have a mechanical wireless one that I'll put on my desk. So it's cool that this has a built-in number pad, and I do find myself using it quite a bit. The hinge design on this laptop is nicer. The processor is nicer. The only thing I haven't really talked about is the GPU. The GPU is a little... It might be a little stinky. It is an RTX 3050. The saving grace is it is an RTX 3050 6GB, which is much better than the 3050 4GB that seems to be out and about on most computers. When I read the description, it said this had a 3050 4GB, and I was like, I guess I'll take the hit on this because most of the computer is good except for the GPU. But I actually found out when I fired this thing up, it actually has a 6GB variant, so it's closer to like I want to say like the 4050 6GB. It's closer to that than like the 3050 4GB. The 4GB version of the 3050 and the 6GB version of the 3050 are I wouldn't say very different, but they're two different things. The 6GB version is better than the 4GB version, and that's coming from a GTX 1650, which, you know, I don't think I could even run NVIDIA Broadcast on, so I couldn't do what I'm doing here, where I'm using NVIDIA Broadcast to have the background replaced with, you know, one of my images or whatever that I use. So it's cool that I have a 3050 and it's a 6 gig. Like, is it the best? No, it's not the best, but this is not meant to be like a desktop replacement per se. It's just kind of like a supplemental sort of system for when it's too hot, or just I don't want to be stuck in the room that gets the hottest in the house using my desktop computer during the summer. So I'm kind of cool with that. I have installed games already, and I'm actually kind of surprised. I've been having a lot of trouble with a few particular games on my desktop. I installed it on my laptop expecting problems as well, and they worked just fine. So I am actually going to do a video on my gaming channel for the first time in a very long time on a game that I used to play, and then essentially I couldn't play it anymore because I kept getting errors. So I ended up switching over to World of Tanks Blitz instead, which was kind of ironic because World of Tanks would work and then Blitz wouldn't, and then it kind of switched. The game that I haven't been able to play in many years is regular World of Tanks. It would just hang. It would not work at all, and I cannot tell you why, but I installed it on my laptop and it worked just fine. I had some trouble with War Thunder. War Thunder was kind of shaky. I did get it to work finally, and I have a few other games, but I have 1 terabyte of storage for games, so I will probably install some other games later on down the line. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to provide a little bit of an update. So, like, I have my little setup here. I'm using my Duocast. I have extra lighting in here now. Everything's pretty nice. I kind of like it. It's pretty cool. The Red Dragon laptop cooler, we will probably do another video on this channel because I have a feeling the temperatures may have been skewed by the MSI laptop, which I believe I went over in the last video. So we'll see how it goes here. So far, I haven't seen the AMD go over 80 Celsius under like full workload, so we'll see how that goes. But now that I have a functioning laptop, I might be able to play around with this a little bit more and hopefully make some more content when I don't want to be on my desktop. If it's going to be World of Tanks, this might be the only computer that I can get it to run on. I don't know if there's something that I can do to fix that on my 4070, but it works just fine on my 3050 laptop here, so, you know, cool. We might, you know, play some regular World of Tanks for once, now that I have this laptop set up. But, yeah, I just kind of wanted to, A, make a video, and B, talk about my laptop that has replaced my MSI, and I gotta say, I'm fairly impressed with it. I do like it. There's a couple minor gripes, which would just be the RAM and the storage. The RAM is probably pretty easily fixed. The storage, I really don't want to tear apart this computer all that much yet, so we'll just go with the external drive setup instead. But yeah, so I just wanted to update you guys, let you guys know that I should be making some more stuff. Hopefully we will get a few more videos out here in the future. But until then, until I see you guys in the next video, take it easy. Bye-bye.